This is the Calvin D Project, where we interview interesting people driven to change the trajectories of those they serve through learning, teaching, and writing. I want to thank you for being here. We're pleased to welcome JaQuoi Griffin out of Dallas, Texas. Make sure you stick around because some of the most powerful content is the advice portion that's at the end. So right before we dive in, make sure you hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and hit that bell notification icon so you can get more episodes like this one. Tell me a little bit about yourself and your ministry.
Hello everybody, I'm JaQuoi Griffin, born and raised in Benton Harbor, Michigan. Moved here in August of 2015 on a command from God. I've been singing since I could remember. Told that I've been singing since the age of 3, but I don't know if that's true when you can't really talk. But that I remember I've been singing since middle school, talent shows, and kind of got into the quartet area. Grew up Baptist, was later exposed to contemporary Christian music, so all of those things have kind of influenced me thus far.
How would you say you got your first big break into gospel music?
I may still be waiting on that first big break, man. Some of the opportunities I've had have been like through connections or other people that I knew who recommended me for certain opportunities. If you follow me, you've seen like I've had an opportunity to work with some of the greats, people who I grew up listening to, and I'm in rooms with them recording music for other artists. Just in there, starstruck, man. But I think those opportunities will probably be the big breaks I've had thus far. You
mentioned some artists that you were able to work with in the past. Can you talk about the Overcomer tour with David and Tamala Mann?
Yeah, that was a shocking opportunity that I got again. And I have to clarify because I think my post misled some people and it wasn't my intent. I apologize. I was not physically on tour with them at every city. I had an opportunity to lay vocals as a part of a bigger ensemble. And we also did a visual for their intro video. So if you may have seen me on the intro video at those cities, but I was not physically there. It was a very surreal moment, man. Like an opportunity to work with people that I've watched growing up. And I'm in close proximity and I get a chance to hug them and shake their hand and work on their project. They may not even know who I am if they saw me in Walmart, and that's okay. I got pictures to prove that I was there. But they were good people. They were very hospitable, very calm, very kind, very humorous, and it just made the experience all the more fun.
What did that experience teach you about the music industry?
A lot of times it's about who you know. It's about who recommends you. It's about not just your skills and talent, but your personality, your character, how you interact with others. Are you optimistic? Are you negative? Can you get along with others? Can you roll with the punches of change? It taught me that there's more to it than just being a good singer or a great singer. You have to actually have a good personality and be liked by people to be recommended for certain opportunities.
How would you define success as an independent gospel artist?
Success, different ways, but one way is like, if you're charting, if your music is charting, if you are on the road a lot, if you work with certain artists, that can be defined as success. In addition to that, it's also following God's plan for your life and being effective at what He's called you to do. I think that's the part that most people miss. Like, we want the charts, we want the success, but we forget about the part that includes God in all of that. So if He's pleased with everything, then you're successful, whether or not people see it.
What unique elements do you bring to gospel music, and what would you say makes it stand out?
I only say this because I'm told this. I bring like an element of pure worship. Anytime I open my mouth to sing, it's almost like, well, from what I'm told, is that it draws people into the presence of God. It draws people to want to worship God, to want to know more about God. My voice, my style of music is a lot different than what people would expect. I don't have the widest range. I can't squall and holler, but what I'm going to give you is my heart through these vocals. And I think I'm typically a crooner, so that is not something that is common in gospel music. Not for tenors, at least.
Yeah. And you do have a very nice voice.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
What do you think when you hear these words? I couldn't seem to fall asleep. There was so much on my mind, searching for that peace, the peace that I couldn't find. And then I looked down to pray. Praying helped me because you said I don't have to cry, because I'll supply all your needs. What do those words mean to you?
PJ Morton, thank you for this song. For me, even when I listen to the song, even when I've covered the song, it reminds me that I don't have to do life alone. I don't have to try to figure this out. I can let go. Let go meaning I surrender to God. My burdens, my cares, my struggles, my frustrations. I give all that to God and allow Him to navigate me through whatever. So let go. Now I can actually sleep because I'm trusting you. Now I can actually have peace because I'm trusting you, or because I'm allowing you to help me with these things.
What's the backstory for your song, You Are?
You Are, man. So that song was written by Gabe Carter out of Detroit. And he actually produced my very first project titled Never Alone. So I had written Never Alone, and I wanted like another song to go on the EP. And so I'm like, hey man, I'm doing this project. Well, he did the music for Never Alone. And so I asked him if he had any other songs that would possibly work for my project. So he allowed me to cover that song in 2015. We released it in 2016. And by then, like, life hadn't really happened for me yet. So it was just a very nice song that had a really powerful message. And between 2017 and 2020, life happened, I guess you could say. You know, so incarcerated brother gets released, grandmother dies, I moved to Texas, mother dies. You know, lots of things have happened in my life to where now that song has it has the same meaning as it did before, but it's intensified. So now I sing that song from a place of, God, you are still healer in the midst of death. You're still healer in the midst of cancer. And I had to walk through some seasons in my life that challenged what I believe. So now when I say, God, you are, even in the midst of, I'm not just singing that because it's cute or because it's a nice melody. I'm singing that because it has meaning to my life. God has been so many things in my life, even in the midst of or through certain things that should have taken me out. Through the depression, through the anxiety, through the grief, through the stubbornness, through everything, he's been who he said he's going to be. So that song, I joke about this all the time, but I literally will be singing that until the day I die.
On a perfect day, it's easy to trust him. Like you said, when life happens, you have to weather the storms. Can you stand the rain? Also an author. Talk about your book, Rest in God.
It was released in January 2023. And to be clear, I did not plan on writing a book at all. I'm not a transparent person. I'm not somebody that you meet and I just tell you my whole life story. I'm very selective in what I share. So I was minding my own business one Saturday morning, and long and short, I thought God was instructing me to read a book. And when I sat down to ask, for clarification, he was instructing me to write a book. So I misinterpreted what I heard. And long and short, it is just literally me telling my testimony of my journey through grief, through fatherlessness to a degree, stubbornness, transition from Michigan to Texas. Like, there's so many things that have happened that have caused me to doubt God. But once I actually took those situations to God and said, God, help me with this, he gave me rest in those moments. And these are perfect opportunities, man, for me to walk away from Christ, to walk away from God, to walk away from singing. But I ran to God for rest, for help, saying, God, if you're God, you have to help me with this. I don't know how this is going to work out, but if you can't do this, then you know what? I'm good. God literally showed himself to be true. And that book is it's a very thin book, but it's just kind of sharing my testimony of learning to trust in God with my entire life.
Talking faith, can you talk about the Faith Church where you serve as a worship leader?
Yeah, shout out to the Faith Church and Pastor Alton Dixon. I've been there since the end of 2020. It's crazy how God works out. Like, I wasn't looking for a church home. One of my friends there recommended me to fill the worship leader position that was becoming vacant. And so I filled in one Sunday. I'm like, cool, it's cute. Prayed about it. And God is like, you're to meet a need there. Yeah. And so oftentimes, for me, I'm looking to go somewhere where I can be poured into. But even with the little knowledge that I have, there's still other people that I can pour into and help. And so the Faith Church welcomed me with open arms, and I'm giving everything I knew to give. I'm leading worship. I'm running a music ministry and just being of help to the pastor. So it came out of the blue, man, to me. But they've been a blessing for the last 2.5 years, just teaching me a lot of things and covering me.
You also serve with Pastor Chris Wesley and Undignified to Praise. Speak on that ministry.
Shout out to Pastor Chris and UDP. I was in Michigan at the time, and I was praying about, I didn't want to get down here and not be connected to music. So I was trying to network. And I looked on Facebook for ministries in Texas randomly. Yeah. And that was the only group that I stumbled across. So I looked through their videos of their YouTube content, and I messaged Pastor Chris I'm a random stranger. I'm moving to Texas. I'm looking to be a part of a ministry. Can I join the group? Yeah, bro. Sure. Come on. And they allowed me to sing with them since 2015. So I've been rocking with them since. They've been family. They've been extended family. And again, I'm not from here, so being connected with certain people who are good people, helps to be planted. And they've been a blessing to my life.
Speaking of many gifted and anointed people, when it comes to independent artists, let's go a step further and speak on the business. Can you speak on your approach of collaborating with other artists and producers? You kind of touched on that earlier.
It's a struggle. It's hard for me to walk up to somebody and say, hey, I'm JaQuoi Griffin. This is my resume. Here's why you need to work with me. It's very impersonal. And so my approach, I want to know the people that I'm working with. If I'm doing a song with you, let's go bowling, or let's have some type of connection to where I can actually figure out if this is something I need to pursue. There's some people, sometimes when we're networking, we don't often pray to God about who we should work with. It's just networking. And before you know it, it's like some connections God would have kept you away from. So my approach is, I want to have some idea of who I'm working with, who I'm collaborating with. And I typically will look for people with good hearts. This is something that I've had to learn over the last several years. Everybody's not for you. It doesn't mean everybody's a bad person. So as I'm networking and partnering with people with music and books and projects, God, what do I need to know about this person? Not so that I can go on a rant on Facebook. Is there something that I need to be aware of before? Or is this something that you're telling me to stay away from? I made some poor choices, man. Real talk. I made some poor choices because I did not pray about those connections. So any upcoming artists, yes, network, absolutely. But also pray about who you're networking with. Pray about who you're partnering with. Pray about who you're collaborating with. That makes a bigger difference. So the team of people I have now that I pull on for band and singers, I can look at all of those people and say they have good hearts. I can trust them with my life. That matters most to me than just networking with everybody just for the sake of building a resume.
The people that are in the trenches supporting indie artists with airplays on radio and attention on social media. Talk about having the support of people like Carmina Barnett, Lisa Shaw, Lada Wonder Bell. Why is that support so important for independent artists?
Firstly, Carmina, Lady Wanda, Lisa, thank you guys for playing my music when nobody knew who I was. I'm a random stranger from Michigan and y'all played my music and took a chance with me. So thank you. And to every other radio promoter who has played my music, thank you. I may not even know who you are, but thank you. Their support helps me to reach people that I may never meet, or to meet people that I may never ever interact with. There's probably somebody in Fort Worth, Texas listening to my music who I have no idea who they are. So their support helps me to reach other people beyond the church, beyond the four walls of a Christian institution. And so it helps me to further advance my ministry, further advance the kingdom of God, and to share my music with people.
You were going to put on a concert of independent gospel artists. What 5 artists or groups would you choose to perform at your concert?
Limited to 5. Kayla Williams, Offer Up, Chris Wesley, and Undignified Praise. It's 2. There's so many. Sharon Ann. I'd say Dreamstone Records out of Grand Rapids. And I'm going to go with...
I tell you what I'm going to do is we're going to do another interview in the future. And next time we have an interview, you give me that 50.
Okay, that works.
I like that. What new projects are you working on that you can share with?
Right now, I'm still working to finish the Rest in God project. So I did a Rest in God in 2020. So now I'm working on like a continuation or part 2 of that one, deluxe edition.
Okay.
So I want to get that wrapped up pretty soon. And then that should be available in the coming weeks.
Okay.
Just that and promoting the book and just really trying to market that in a better way. As everybody say, this is my year.
I want to thank you for being a guest on the Calvin D Project podcast this week. Be sure to connect with JaQuoi Griffin on social media and also check out his music and his book. You will not be disappointed. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and hit that bell notification icon so you can get more episodes like this one. And thank you again for listening to the Calvin D Project.